Hey, Justin of Severed Books. We're back with one cover, one page. Um, so I'm going to talk about this comic book adapted from a novel that also became a decent movie by a pretty famous actor. It's a book that I didn't expect to talk about, but going through all my old comics and stuff, um, it made me remember a pretty important story from my youth. So like growing up, I loved to draw. Like I was drawing all the time. I really didn't know how to draw. Like I was totally just self-taught. I would doodle. I would copy images. I just loved to do it, and a lot of times it wasn't about really the final product, even though I really wanted to draw well. Um, but then I also remember when I was around 13, 12 or 13, I wanted to start painting. And man, I had like zero knowledge of materials or process or anything like that. And I remember my dad driving me down to the arts and crafts store. I can't remember which one it would have been in New Hampshire in Derry. Um, but I do remember getting like my first blank canvas, like the pre-stretched canvas, and some acrylic paints, and sitting down and trying to copy this comic cover. And like no one taught me about underpainting or sketching or anything like that. I think I just took like a pencil to the raw canvas without priming it and just kind of winged it. But I do remember being like super proud of the image that I ended up with, and I hung it up on my bedroom wall, and it was up there for a while. And I remember my grandparents came over one day, and I was really proud to show them my bedroom and what I'd been working on. And one of the first things my grandmother said was she looked up at this image and, aghast, she was like, "Oh, I would never want that in my bedroom." Um, and I remember that really stuck with me. That was like really the first time my grandma, this is my dad's mom, um, said something somewhat negative about my art, and I feel like it sort of just progressed from there. Every time I kind of shared something with her that I really cared about, there was always some sort of negative response. Um, the funniest anecdote being, I don't want to go into too much detail. I'll probably talk about her later because her negativity had a really profound impact on me. But um, my the year before we moved away from Derry, when you get older, people don't know what to get you. So my grandma just sent my mom some cash and was like, "Oh, hey, let the boys, me and my brother, pick up what they want and then mail it to me, and I'll wrap it up and they can open it up on Christmas Day." So we did that, and I went to the mall, probably the same mall that I mentioned in previous videos, and I bought this Megadeth t-shirt that I loved. And my mom thought it was fine. She mailed it to my grandma, and when my grandma opened it up, she was so appalled by the image that she took scissors and cut it into individual pieces and then deposited that t-shirt into separate wastebaskets around the house, hypothetically, so it wouldn't form back together and strangle her in the night. Who knows? But it became a sort of a running joke in the family, and my mom felt bad. She went back to the mall and got me that same t-shirt and gave it to me and said, it's fine. But yeah, so like looking at this cover, looking through my comics, I remembered that, and for me, it was really important to remember, like, don't let anyone discourage you from making stuff that you want, stuff that you care about. Don't let anybody do that to you, family or friend or stranger. Just ignore it. That's what I do. Just shut it down, ignore it, and it's hard, like especially when it's someone you care about. But yeah, that said, let's get into this thing. One cover, one page. That's all we got time for. Let's check out what we got today. I Am Legend, baby. Woo-wee. So, full disclosure, I haven't read this since I was a kid, and I only had issue one. I'd never tracked down the rest of the stuff. And when I moved from New Hampshire to Orlando, Florida in '93, I did bring a lot of my comics with me. This came with me, and my taste had changed quite a bit, and I was really just sort of like really in love with like Dark Horse and Image at the time. So this sort of like fell to the wayside, but I held on to this bad boy, and man, holy cow! So I do remember just staring at this cover, and like I said before, like when I wanted to paint, like this was the first image that I tried to copy in acrylic paints. And I guess you can tell why. Like, it's a painted cover, so it makes sense for me to try to copy it. I likely did a terrible job, and probably put like extra blood on there or something like that. But I really dig this cover. It does what it needs to do, right? Like, he's clenching his fists almost like he's praying in a way. And his hands are like barely rendered, so it kind of like draws your eye up his collar to his head. And then the typography frames his face. It's just your eyes just go straight to this guy's face. There's only one eye showing. That's very intentional. Man, those teeth, not just the fangs, but those like kind of like rotten bottom teeth, really striking. Really, I remember not being able to take my eyes off this cover and having it on my bedroom floor for a long time. So yeah, and really 1991. So this is probably one of the first comics I ever owned. Let's see, the illustrator is Elman Brown. Who did the cover? The same cover? No, it's a different. Mark Cox did the cover design. My bad. So I'm assuming that the illustrator also did the cover. Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, Elman Brown for the cover. But dude, I also remember not loving the interior art as a kid, and I can see why now. There's something up at the faces, or is it this guy's jaw is just really big. Very cool interior art, but at the time I wasn't like too keen on it. Man, there's a topless vampire in here. That's why I like this book. Good grief. But one cover, one page. That's all we got time for. So let's find the interior page that we're going to talk about as well. It's really like a spread that I saw earlier. So yeah, it's this page here. And I'll read the text box caption. It says, Robert Neville, that's the main character. Robert Neville sat down with a sigh and began to eat. Oh man. So he's like, if you're familiar with the story, a lot of people have seen the movie. He is hauled up inside this compound that he's made, and he's trying to live not a regular life, but he's trying to survive. And these vampires are screaming at him night after night to come out. And at some point, you just got to eat. So I love that banality. Man, the dude just has to have a drink and go to bed. And these absolute horror show creatures are out there trying to lure him out. Really freaky. Definitely as a kid, super freaky. I have memories of just not even reading this. Of course, I read it, but I just would flip through and just stare at the images. That's also kind of cool about a comic. Once you do read the story, you can kind of just do a second run, not have to read the words necessarily, and just kind of enjoy it as art. That's exactly what I did with this book over and over and over. Man, I Am Legend. Is there a sequel to this? I heard there might be a sequel movie coming out as well. I would like a reboot because this story is that kick-ass. But I Am Legend, super formative for me as a creator, as someone who is interested in multimedia. It really was the first time that I was like, you know what, I'm going to try painting and just see how it goes. And it went terribly, but at least I tried. And I'll definitely talk more about that later because I ended up painting in high school and then my original major in college was painting, but I had to change that, and that's another fun story too. But yeah, I Am Legends, pretty great. Check it out if you find it, for an affordable price. Definitely worth picking up. Speaking of vampires, I have a new game out that you might like if you like vampires. It's called Oldest Child. You basically take care of a vampire who's sick, who saved your life. I have a few videos that show how to play it, what it is. This is the prototype, but we're taking pre-orders, and it should be out like 6 weeks probably. It's being shipped right now. But yeah, one cover, one page. Hope you enjoy it. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.